Wow, guys, what a hell of a weekend for WWE. Obviously, kicked off with this past Saturday on Saturday night's main event, where we saw the return of the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes as he wants the WWE title back, which honestly is kind of a good thing in my opinion. Some would agree, some would disagree, but that's nothing compared to what we saw last night. Sorry guys, I've been sick for the last few days. My throat is like clogged up right now, so I'll be right back. Alright, you guys, sorry about that. I'm back. My throat is still a little clogged up because I've been sick for the last few days. I'm slowly getting better. I should be okay by later this week, possibly Wednesday. Who the fuck knows? But anyway, continuing on. Saturday night main event, we saw Cody Rhodes return to help Jay retain the World Heavyweight title, which was a historic night. But nothing comes as historic as last night, where we saw Trick Williams do the impossible of becoming the only WWE superstar in history to win the TNA World title. And then, of course, we saw a lot of chaos involving the six-man tag team match, which brings us to this week's episode of WWE's Biggest Issue, where we will now talk about Hank and Tank's run as tag team champions and who should be the team to step up to the challenge. Now, here's the crazy thing, right? It's been well over a month since Hank and Tank first became NXT tag team champions, and this is something that we never thought would. This is something that we never would have imagined it would ever happen. Like, we never would have thought that we would ever see the team of Hank Walker and Tank Ledger becoming NXT tag team champions. But then again, we're at a point now where everything's changing. It's a new era, and Fraxium have been doing hella good over on SmackDown, which now buys into the question, who should challenge Hank and Tank for the NXT tag team titles? Obviously, we know that there is a large plethora of tag teams, not just on NXT, not just on Evolve, but also in TNA as well. You've got teams like Chase U. Literally, Chase University is back and better than ever. I never would have expected it. Obviously, Ridge Holland failed. He failed miserably. But there's Chase U. There's the Culling, OTM. There's No Quarter Catch Crew, Dark State. Who else is there? You got the team of Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. You've got who else is there? The Culling I mentioned. Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe. Just that's off of NXT. Now, off of Evolve, TNA, you've got the current TNA Tag Team Champions, Nick and Ryan Nemeth. You've got the team name of First Class, which is AJ Francis, and it looks like KC Navarro. You've got all the members of the system. Sorry guys, my throat is just so clogged up right now. There we go. I think I'll be okay. Let's see here. You got the Hardys. You've got this new faction on TNA called Order 4, which it looks like it has Tasha Steelz, Mustafa Ali, and 2 other guys. This team name called the Great Hands, I think. Yeah, I believe that's their team name. You've got this other group called the Northern Armory, which is led by Eric Young. And then, of course, you've got as well the Rascals as well. So you've got a lot of really good teams. On both shows, even also on WWE Evolve. You've got tag teams like Swipe Right. In fact, I think Swipe Right is the only legit tag team on Evolve. So right now it comes down to the question of who should be next, right? Who should be the team to take the challenge of facing Hank and Tank for the NXT tag team titles. Like I said, there is a large plethora of tag teams across both shows, and if I had to pick 4, 2 from each side of the spectrum, I would have to say the Hardys, the System, Dark State, and Briggs and Inamura. Briggs and Inamura, because obviously we saw last night Yoshiki Inamura made his impactful return to NXT, saving Josh Briggs and the tag team champions from an assault by the Culling, which led to fans asking if it's possible that Briggs and Inamura could be next in line for those tag team titles. It's very possible. It's very possible, but there's also the Culling. So there's 5 teams potentially that could be next in line. The Culling, obviously because of the fact that they basically had the tag team champions number last night before end up losing to said tag team champions. Briggs and Inamura, last time they challenged for the tag team titles, they were this close. And they are definitely owed another shot at those tag team titles. Dark State, because let's just be real, right? Dark State has just been running roughshod throughout the entire NXT locker room. They've turned so many heads, and it got fans wondering if these guys could potentially be the next Shield. The next Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose. Could they be the next iteration of the Shield? And yeah, it's very possible, but we all know when it comes to the Shield, there's always one thing. backstabbing. So which member of Darkseid will pull that trigger first? Who knows? Maybe it could be Shaquan Sugars. I know that from what we know, he's always the type of guy who will say something and the world listens. Literally, that's who Shaquan Sugars truly is. So Darkseid, I mean, again, these guys have done so much in such a short amount of time, and I have to admit, we could see a very powerful force in Darkseid becoming champions in WWE. Now, as far as the system goes, they made their, or I would say Fandango JDC. I would say he made his debut in NXT, but he made his return to NXT earlier this year. At some point, earlier this year, and he turned a lot of heads, literally giving the fans the question of whether or not we could see JDC make his way back to NXT full time when his contract with TNA expires, which I've been hearing rumors that supposedly, I don't know if these rumors are true or not, but there's been rumors going around saying that JDC's contract with TNA is set to expire sometime later this year, potentially around the fall, around September, late, from sometime between late September to early November. It's somewhere within that timeline. JDC's contract with TNA could very may well come to an end, and he may end up back on NXT to finish out his career, which is very possible. Considering the fact that prior to his match with Lexis King for the Heritage Cup and his promo with said champion, with said Lexis King himself, we had not seen JDC in WWE in several years. In fact, I think it had been about 4 or 5 years since he was last in WWE. So, I mean, his match with Lexis King, he had a hell of a showing. And then you got Moose. Dude, Moose is Moose, man. Moose had a hell of a fight against Obafemi for the NXT title. It was literally the clear case of big meaty men slapping meat. Those two boys, hey, they were slapping meat. They were slapping meat, and it was just, it was something. All I can say is that it was something. Bad joke, I get it, bad joke, but it's Big E's joke. You can't go wrong with Big E's meat joke. You can't go wrong with it. And then I believe who else is in the group? Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards. So Brian Myers, we hadn't seen him in WWE in a very long time. In fact, I think it's been since 2020 that we last saw Brian Myers in WWE, and it's possible that we could see, any two members of the system make their way to NXT challenging for those tag team titles. Maybe it could be Myers and JDC. It could be Myers and Eddie Edwards, or it could be Edwards and JDC. Maybe we might see Eddie Edwards and the TNA X Division champion. Who knows? So Moose has done a lot for TNA over the last several years, but for him to have made his way to NXT and have just had a hell of a showing against Obafemi and Roadblock, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So again, System definitely could make their way to that challenge. And then of course the Hardys. I mean, the Hardys, they've done everything that there is to do in the wrestling business. Obviously Matt Hardy being a former U.S. champion, a former European champion, multi-time tag team champion, not just with WWE, not just with WCW, because people forget they won the WCW tag team titles at one point. So there's that. Former ECW champion, and then of course, former multi-time TNA world champion, and then Jeff Hardy. Again, tag team champion, IC champion, hardcore champion, US champion, WWE champion, world heavyweight champion, TNA champion. These guys, both Hardys, have done it all in this business, except for one thing, and that has become NXT tag team champions. I think, was it Matt Hardy? I think so. I think Matt had said in an interview that he would love to become NXT tag team champions with his brother to cap off a legendary career. So it's very possible, but we'll have to wait and see. But bringing it down to 2, I would probably have to say I would probably say that it would have to come down to the Culling and the Hardys. And the only reason why is because Darkstay, they're still new. Darkstay is still new to NXT. They're still new to WWE. It's gonna take some time before we see them go after championship gold in NXT. But it'll definitely be sooner rather than later. But I don't think that sooner is now. And as far as Briggs and Inamura, as crazy as it sounds, I mean, again, yes, I would love to see them become tag team champions, because they're because they, in a way, they remind me a lot of Kane and the Big Show, where you had two big dudes as tag team champions. I would not mind seeing that at all, but because that Yoshiki Inamura made his return to NXT last night, they still have a lot of chemistry that they need to work on, as far as their tag team moves, as far as like their personalities and all that. They still have a lot of improving to do, so it's gonna be a while. And then as far as the System goes, I mean, they've got their own thing going over there on TNA. I think it's gonna be a while. It'll be a while before we see them back in NXT. So if it came down between the Hardys and the Culling, as crazy as it sounds, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of heat for this, I would have to say the Culling. And the only reason being is simple. The Culling had the tag team champions number last night at Battleground. Just about like almost every move that Briggs and the tag team champions made, the Culling was at least 2 steps ahead of their opponents. So because of that, imagine what would happen if the Culling did get that opportunity at the NXT tag team titles. We know damn well they would 100% capitalize on a massive opportunity, and they would win those titles by any means necessary. They would literally do whatever it takes, and trust me, they will. They will do whatever it takes to walk out as the new NXT Tag Team Champions. Could we see all the other 4 teams that I mentioned? Could we see them become NXT Tag Team Champions at some point? 100%, yes, 100%. But Hank and Tank said that they wanted a challenge, and I believe the culling is definitely up there. But with that being said, that'll do it for this week's episode of WWE's Biggest Issue. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and follow me on all my social media. All my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.